Today we are going to talk about charming and very historic Alexandria, Virginia. When many people picture Virginia, the image that actually comes to mind, or one of the images, is definitely going to be those historic brick sidewalks that are in Old Town Alexandria. But there's more to Alexandria than just Old Town, and we're going to talk about more of that today. There's also two differences of Alexandria. There's the City of Alexandria, and then there's Alexandria, which is part of Fairfax County. And people often wonder what the difference is. Well, they're two very different places, even though they are situated right next to each other and share a border. There are some things that you are absolutely going to need to know about Alexandria homes in some of the neighborhoods, as well as overall Alexandria. And also, if you have school-aged children, please stick around, because there's some things going on with the schools that we are going to need to discuss. So I am Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama, and this is my channel. I do these videos for you guys every week, and I break down living in DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia. I've lived here for over 20 years. I know these areas very well. I go deeper than pretty much anything you'll find. I get out there and actually shoot all of the footage that you guys see. So I'm not using stock footage. This is the real deal. You're actually seeing what it looks like here. Make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any of the new videos that come out every week. First, let's do location. We want to talk about where the City of Alexandria is. So it is located west of the Potomac River. It's inside the DC Beltway, which is 495. That's the southern boundary. 395 is the western boundary. And then 4 Mile Run is the northern boundary. So there are a few metros stops that come through and service Alexandria. You've got Van Dorn Street Metro, which is in the west end of Alexandria. Then you've got Eisenhower and King Street or Braddock Road Metro stops as well. So there's actually several neighborhoods that make up the City of Alexandria. We also call it Alexandria City. They've all got their own personality as well, which means you have a pretty good chance of finding an area here that's going to feel like home to you. Let's start out with one of the biggies, which is Old Town. So this is actually Old Virginia. So think brick sidewalks, brick homes. This was originally part of the Capitol when the Capitol was located here. Alexandria really resonates, Old Town, with people who move here from the Northeast. That would be Connecticut, Massachusetts, sort of a combination of like life near water and that field of an old port town that feels part New England and definitely part old colonial Virginia. So Old Town is bustling with people outside on the sidewalks, at the cafes and the restaurants, all along the water, and then inside all of these shops as well. It's also a big tourist draw. So you've got a lot of people that maybe live here that are just traversing the neighborhood, but then also people that come to visit and want to see Old Virginia in all of its glory. The next neighborhood to talk about is Delray. Delray is situated between Rosemont and the northern edges of Old Town. Delray is a happening little neighborhood with a very big and strong sense of community. The main strip, which is Mount Vernon Avenue, is packed with amazing independent restaurants and shops. Another neighborhood in Alexandria is Potomac Yard. This actually has more of a commercial feel, and it sits just south of Pentagon City, which is part of Arlington on Route 1. There is lots of new development happening here, but essentially Potomac Yard is like this long, narrow strip of land that's sandwiched between geographic constraints of Route 1, the Potomac River, its proximity to National Landing, which is where Amazon's headquarters is located, makes this a prime destination for many people. Prime! I got you again with another mom joke. I know, I'm sticking them in every single week now. It's getting annoying. It's totally annoying. I'm going to stop soon. Eisenhower and Carlisle is another neighborhood that's kind of a long strip of land that stretches across the southern edge of Alexandria. It's just inside 495, the Beltway. The western side of this neighborhood is more industrial. The eastern part, which is just west of Old Town, has several high-rise condo buildings, some townhomes, and an area with retail and restaurants. This is also located right off of Duke Street. Another neighborhood is Rosemont. This is a quiet neighborhood where people wave at you when you drive by. There are many well-manicured homes. This neighborhood was developed in the early 1900s, and it's mostly comprised of single-family historic homes. There's a historic district, and Rosemont is often grouped together with the neighboring neighborhood, which is Northridge. So let's do Northridge. This neighborhood, Northridge, is mostly single-family homes as well, but it was developed later than Rosemont. These houses were built in the 1930s all the way to the 1960s. The retail areas are on the edges of these neighborhoods, not right in the middle. These neighborhoods are, make no mistake about it, mostly residential. There's also Park Fairfax, which is a large community of almost 1,700 homes, originally built for those coming home after World War II. There's Arlandria, which is a small neighborhood on the northeast part of Alexandria. Arlandria is a residential neighborhood, and it is served just as much by retail on the Arlington side of 4 Mile Run River than it would be in Alexandria. So Arlandria was actually made famous by a Foo Fighters song of the same name. So we've also got Parker Gray or Uptown. This is an area west of Old Town that has experienced a lot of growth. There are many smaller 2-story townhomes here, but there's also some new developments by the Braddock Road Metro. Another neighborhood is West End. It's the West End of Alexandria, which includes a few different neighborhoods as well. And then there's Seminary Hill, which is mostly residential, single-family homes, many Cape Cod style with very well-maintained yards. The Landmark area is just south of Seminary Hill, and it's being redeveloped. This is sort of also like in the West End area. Here you're going to find a mix of condos and apartments. Cameron Station, also sort of heading toward that West End area. This is a huge planned community built in the late 1990s, around early 2000s. It's mostly townhomes here and condos. So fun fact, Old Town Alexandria was originally part of the DC's capital in the early 1800s. Unfun fact, they actually retroceded because they did not stand with DC in terms of not believing in slavery. So they wanted to maintain their rights to own slaves, and they retroceded in the 1840s. But the joke was on them because, you know, the Civil War was just 20 some odd years away, and everything went back to how it should be, which is no slavery. Virginia, you lose. I'm so sorry. All right, City of Alexandria real estate. Let's talk about this next. The average price of all condos in the entire city of Alexandria that sold in the last 6 months, $497,000. That doesn't really tell us much, though. The median's $387,500. We're going to have to break this down further. Now, again, we're still talking top side, like the whole city of Alexandria. If we pull out just the 1 bedrooms, the average sales price is $353,000 for the whole city. The median price, $300,000. The average sales price for 2 bedrooms is $545,000, and the median's $422,500. Now, there are also 3-bedroom condos here, mostly due to the fact that there's communities with townhome style condos in Alexandria that you don't really see that in a lot of other places. The average sales price for the last 6 months on the 3 bedrooms is $729,000, and the median price $541,000. Now, the average price of townhomes sold in Alexandria, this is like freestanding where you own the land underneath you, is $996,000. The median, $840,000. For single family detached homes, the average for the last 6 months is $1.275 million, and the median is $1.09 million. Now, there's such a wide price range on condos and houses here, and it's all really due to location, age of the home, house type, all of that good stuff. If you're closer to the water, you're typically going to pay more than if you're in maybe a different neighborhood that's a little bit more, landlocked as you can be here, because we do have a river that runs through it. Now, if we look at some of the individual neighborhoods, we can fine-tune the prices even further so that you know what you're up against. A good portion of the housing in Old Town is from the 1800s, which is not super common to find in the area. But Old Town and Alexandria, just like Georgetown and DC, were the 2 original settlements due to the fact that they both had access to water and ports. Now, in Old Town, you are going to find row homes, condos, and apartments. The charm here will cost you. Prices are typically $1 million up to $3 million. Now, a quick side note, you heard me say row home. We should probably revisit what the difference is between a row home and a townhome. Generally, they're going to look the same, right? You may not see a difference where you say like, that's a row home and that's a townhome or whatever. But row home tends to designate essentially what is an older style of property from before the invention of the homeowners association, right? So row homes typically are like, they're not going to come with monthly maintenance or an association fee that manages anything and then charges a fee for that management. They typically will not have amenities or things that like everybody shares in, like a pool or a garden or, sports courts, things like that. Townhomes typically will have stuff like that. They are going to have a monthly fee in exchange for some exterior maintenance or amenities. Bigger communities, typically you might see, like in a case of Cameron Station, you've got a pool, you've got a fitness center, you've got other amenities that you're paying for. Now, there are some newer condos that have popped up in places in Old Town that have been mostly repurposed through conversions of other buildings. Condos can be found in older buildings on the southern edge of Old Town in the 200,000s, but the newer condos go from 400,000 up into the millions. Now, it's all about the show-stopping water view here. So that's what's going to make the difference to bring you up to those higher prices. In Del Rey, the house prices have risen steeply in the past few years. So being walkable to the main strip, Mount Vernon Avenue, where the restaurants and the shops are, that's pretty much key. There are not a lot of condos here in Del Rey, but there are a few smaller condos. So sort of think like the 500 to 600 square foot range. And those prices are going to be in the 200s. So it's not impossible to get in. It's just that you're going to sacrifice a bit of space if you're okay living in something that's on the small side. Most prices for condos in Del Rey will go well into the 600s and 700s though. And then there are attached row homes here in the 600s, and they range up into the low 1 millions. Single family homes are going to start in Del Rey in the 900,000s, but to get something that is like decent, livable, you're definitely over $1 million, 1.2, and the prices actually go all the way to the mid 2 millions essentially. So the Eisenhower area actually has some newer buildings. They've got condos that will sell for $400,000 for a 1-bedroom into the $800,000 price point for a 2-bedroom. There's also townhomes here, but they seem to like not hit the market as often. There haven't been many that have sold in the last couple years. A few years ago, the ones that did sell, they were over $1 million. Even going back to like 2020, they were selling for over $1 million. Rosemont and Northridge house prices are in the 900s to the high 1 millions. There's some condos on the northwest edge of Northridge that sort of blends into the Park Fairfax community. And Park Fairfax it's condos, but they actually live like single family homes. It's that huge community of 1,700 homes where it's basically one level condos with yards that have homes in the 300s. And they're not dedicated yards, but all the buildings might back up to a big giant yard in the middle, and people, they use it, they do their gardening out there, all that. Potomac Yard is a newer area with most homes being built post 2000. This is the most northern part of Alexandria, and it's really on the border of Arlington, and it feels like it's Arlington. It feels like it's Crystal City and Arlington more than it feels Alexandria-ish. Newer townhomes here are going to start in the 900,000s and go to 1.5 million. There are older condos here that are in the mid 300,000s, and then there's newer condos that are going to start in the mid 500s and go all the way up to the low 1 millions. The homes in Potomac Yard are very well done. They carry a premium due to the quality of home, the fact that it's newer, that they're very nice, and the location being close to Arlington and Reagan National Airport. But it can be tricky to navigate in and out of here because there's only like a few ways to get in and traffic can be bad. And also, you're in a flight path. So you just have to know that there's always going to be planes taking off and coming in right by your neighborhood and over your head. Cameron Station is a community that can somewhat stand alone, though it will show up on maps as landmark neighborhood. The homes in Cameron Station are going to start in the 800s and go up from there. You do have some retail, but you have to kind of leave the community for some other amenities. That said, it's a popular location in which to live. I've sold quite a few homes in Cameron Station, and my clients all love it. I've also sold condos in the community, and people they kind of love the walkability and this whole community feel. In the West End, you can find smaller 2-level townhomes in the 500s. They're going to lack that kind of location to neighborhood amenities, sort of. You can get to Shirlington and like Arlington area is easier because you're over at 395, but you won't have as easy access to like Delray and Old Town. You're going to have to go through local streets for that. But what West End lacks in like sort of that easy location, it does make up for with the proximity to 395, which, like I said, is great access. It gets you everywhere. We also have to talk about Alexandria and water in the basements. This is very important. Not only are you susceptible to flooding just due to the fact that you're so close to the Potomac River and you're at sea level in Old Town, but there was a massive, massive fail on the part of the city to adequately upgrade the storm drains. This has caused a lot of problems for many people across many neighborhoods in the city of Alexandria. So while the storm drains are a major focus now of the city's capital improvement plan, it's still going to take, it just started in 2023, and it's still going to take 10 years to get through all of the areas where the storm drains have to be upgraded. That is not going to help people like my clients who live in Delray, who we did a ton of due diligence on the house. In fact, I just guessed that they had a water problem, and I flat out asked the agent, and I said, "What's going on with water in the basement?" And she was like, "Oh, right." I didn't actually know, but I just knew from knowing Delray and the houses there that a lot of them have water issues. She's like, "Oh, the house has 2 sump pumps. It just needs to be regraded outside to slope away from the house, yada, yada, yada." None of that helped. My clients ended up, despite this fact that there were 2 sump pumps, somewhere underground, one of them wasn't connected, and maybe both of them weren't connected. They ended up having a full indoor pool in their house, and much to their dismay, $60,000 in replacement to the basement to redo everything. It's tough. I love Delray, but I actually don't think I would ever live there because of that reason. So next up is food. Let's talk about food for a bit. I don't want this to get too long. There's so much in Alexandria that it's impossible to cover it all. Between Old Town and Delray, you have options to keep you satisfied for months, if not years. There's American food, seafood, pizza, barbecue, sushi, French, Ethiopian, Italian, seafood. There's everything there. The highest concentration of restaurants in one place is likely Old Town, with Delray running a close second, where everything in Delray is along the main strip, and it's really independent and small, maybe local chains that have 1 or 2 locations. Sometimes they just have the one location and they have a food truck that goes around other neighborhoods. As you move further west and toward the West End, you're going to see more chain restaurants basically heading west on Duke Street. So you're not going to see as much of that like mom and pop and local stuff. That's going to be on the eastern edge, Delray and Old Town. Grocery stores are not lacking, though, in Alexandria. You've got Harris Teeter, Giant, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Balducci's. Pretty much everything is here that you could possibly want. Is there anything to do for fun? Well, it's hard to compete with the Old Town waterfront. The Torpedo Factory used to be a munitions manufacturing building. It is now a place for artists to show their work, as well as there's condos there. Old Town has a farmer's market, which happens to be the oldest continuously run farmer's market. George Washington is said to have sold his things here. It is open from 7 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. Don't miss 523 Queen Street. It's the Hollinsbury Spite House, built in 1830 by John Hollinsbury to keep horses out of the alley between the other 2 houses. It is a private home, though, so you cannot go in, but you can go by and have your little picture taken and show how you can put your arms out and reach from one end to the other. Potomac Yard and Delray run a close second in terms of shopping, but they each offer like 2 totally different shopping experiences. Potomac Yard is the big box stores. You've got Target, PetSmart, TJ Maxx, Best Buy, Barnes & Noble. Delray has the smaller shops, independent stores, and restaurants. There's also the Delray Vintage and Flea Market to check out. You could also see, if you want to go, we did like a little in-town field trip with the kids where we took them to the southernmost boundary stone, which is at Jones Point in Alexandria. You have to walk a bit to get to it, but it's really pretty cool to see how our founding fathers set out the boundaries of the city, and that is the southernmost point. There's also a ton of community gardens all over Alexandria as well if you want to get involved in those. Let's talk now about kids. You've got playgrounds in pretty much every neighborhood here. Some are smaller neighborhood parks at less than an acre, and others are much, much larger. Eugene Simpson Park between Del Rey and Old Town North has baseball fields, basketball court. They've got a doggy run exercise area, garden, playground, and tennis courts. Cameron Run Regional Park has mini golf, batting cages, and Great Waves Water Park, which is open in season. There's something there for all ages. Ben Brenman Park is a 60-acre park, and it's right next to Cameron Station. They've got courts and, you can walk and all kinds of stuff there as well. Sports fields. I am going to link in the post to Alexandria because all of their parks, they've got everything on a website. In Old Town, you can hit the Stabler and Leadbeater Apothecary Museum, which has some old, Harry Potter inspiration going on here with medicine bottles that, you can play with. When it comes to the parks and fun, Alexandria does the kids well. When it comes to schools, the City of Alexandria does the kids dirty. Absolutely nobody moves here because they say, I want my kids to go to Alexandria City Public Schools. People do leave because of them, though. Elementary seems to be fine in many places. And so if people have lived here and they like the area and they think that, they have kids and they want to stay, they'll stay through elementary. But then it becomes time to move it along, folks. Once the stakes get higher and there's more choice and more paths, potentially things kind of unravel. The schools did suffer quite a bit under a prior superintendent who made things very, very divisive. He left, and then there was a newly hired superintendent who was interim and then became the superintendent in 2023. The big issue here, though, is really about the school board. And as the years go by, there's just not enough people that come out to vote to change the school board, unfortunately. I have separate videos for the schools on all the various districts. And, I don't know. I also have friends that are in Alexandria that say they're moving out, but I have clients that have bought there that say that they like it. Their kids go to school there and it's fine. Now, your dogs are not going to be left out. Alexandria is very, very dog friendly. There is First Street Dog Park, Eugene Simpson, Monroe Avenue in Old Town North, but there's tons of walking that you can do along the river at a system of linear parks along the water in Old Town. Over in Eisenhower, you've got a dog wash, a couple dog parks, and in West End, there's a dog park at Ben Brenman, Holmes Run, and Wiggly Field. Another dog park. There is a ton in Alexandria. I actually hope that this gave you guys a really great overview. I love it there. I don't know that I would move there with my chillins, but I do love it there. It is really nice. It just has a great feel there. Great atmosphere and lifestyle, great vibe. So if you have questions about Alexandria or anything along the Alexandria, Arlington area, I am more than happy to help. My contact info is coming next.